What's the most embarrassing way to die? Approximately 2 to 4 people every year are crushed to death from trying to tip a vending machine to get the snacks out. I'm going with that one. Yeah, more people die every year by vending machines than people who die from sharks. Why isn't there a vending machine week on Discovery? True or not? This 1996, police in George War issued a report on the events leading up to the deaths of Robert Ulanake, 24, and his friend, Orman D. Young, 27, at a Friday night Metallica concert. Ulanake and Young were found dead at the Gorge Amphitheater after the show. Ulanake was in pickup that was on top of Young at the bottom of a 20-foot drop. Young was found with severe lacerations, numerous fractures, contusions, and a branch in his anal cavity. He also had been stabbed, and his pants were in a tree above him, some 15 feet off the ground, adding to the mystery of the heretofore unexplained scene. According to Commissioner in charge Inoy Appleton, Ulanake and Young had tried to get tickets for the sold-out concert. When they were unable to get any tickets, the two decided to stay in the parking lot and drink. Once the show began, and after the two had consumed 18 beers between them, they hit upon the idea of scaling the 7-foot wooden security fence around the perimeter of the site and sneak in. They apparently moved the truck up to the edge of the fence and decided that Young would go over first and assist Ulanake. They did not count on the fact that, while it was a 7-foot fence on the parking lot side, there was a 23-foot drop on the other side. Young, who weighed 255 lbs and was quite inebriated, jumped up and over the fence and promptly fell about half the distance before a large tree branch broke his fall and his left forearm. He also managed to get his shorts caught on the branch. Since he was now in great pain and had no way to extricate himself and his shorts from the tree, he decided to cut his shorts off and fall to the bushes below. As soon as he cut the last bit of fabric holding him on the branch, he suddenly plummeted the rest of the way down, losing his grip on the knife. The bushes he had depended on to break his fall were actually holly bushes, and landing in them caused a massive number of cuts. He also had the misfortune of landing squarely on a holly bush branch, effectively impaling himself. The knife, which he had accidentally released 15 feet up, now landed and stabbed him in his left thigh. He was in tremendous pain. Enter his friend Robert Ulanake. Ulanake had observed the series of tumbles and realized that Young was in trouble. He hit upon the idea of lowering a rope to his friend and pulling him up and over the fence. This was complicated by the fact that Ulanake was outweighed by his friend by a good 100 lbs. Happily, despite his drunken state, he realized he could use their truck to pull Young out. Unfortunately, because of his drunken state, Ulanake put the truck in reverse rather than into drive. He broke through the fence and landed on Young, killing him. Ulanake was thrown from the truck and subsequently died of internal injuries. So that's how a dead 255 pounds man with no pants on, with a truck on top of him and a stick up his ass, came to be, said Commissioner Appleton. Believe it or not, I have actually seen someone hurt like this before. When we were kids, we were chasing each other around. One side of the fence was about 4 feet high, and the other side was like 15 feet high. This kid just chucked over the fence assuming it was the same height on the other side. 8 or so years ago, Hardcore Parker was trending with my friends after the Office episode where you do really tame Parker and pretend you're really good. We were at a party on a 2nd story. There were 2 windows. A friend jumps out the first window onto the fire escape on the same level, yelling Hardcore Parker. Does it again on the 2nd window, except there's no landing, and he falls a story, breaking his arm. Maybe not the most scandalous one, but drowning when you tried to do a drunk lakeside piss. During the summer months, a very large percentage of drowned guys are found with their flies undone. Just piss behind a tree, guys. But then how will I be able to drunkenly point to the lake and say, boy, I must have really had to go? Isn't there a conspiracy of the smiley face killer as the cause of some of these drownings? On the toilet, or in front of an audience. Replace or with an. On a long enough timeline, some cam model will have this happen. Sometimes I think about dark stuff like that, Like with all the people streaming on Twitch, eventually there's going to be that one guy who dies on stream and people keep seeing him asking if he's alright because they legitimately don't know what to do. Just for half an hour or so in the middle of the night, Twitch is just going to be streaming some dead guy's body. Of course, with all the mediocre streamers, he's probably going to be someone with like 3 to 5 concurrents who suddenly gets a million subs and thousands of concurrents while the stream is going on. Meaning the most successful he's ever be could very well be the 30 minutes immediately following his death, when a lot of people were looking at his dead body. The guy who died when he let a horse duck him and for his colon destroyed. 07 Ishin, Washington State, Mr. Hands. Over there in Enumclaw. Fun fact, if it was Mr. Hands, up until then bestiality wasn't illegal in Washington State. Afterwards the legislature had to do something. Because the kind of people who like getting ducked by horses are gonna worry about the RCW. I read somewhere that the video known as the Mr. Hands video was not the time it happened that killed him. That video was a little while before the incident that actually killed him. And it was a group of people who went out there to do this regularly. Accidentally shooting yourself in the head after trying to be cool with a gun. I see so many careless people with weapons. There was a Darwin Award for a guy who tried to impress a girl by playing Russian roulette with a magazine-fed gun. Did he win? Definitely the way Manfred Lubitz went out. The body of retired German electrician Manfred Lubitz was found in his apartment in Malaga wearing a handmade gadget he called the Orgasmatron. It featured a vibrating mat, massage pads, and electrodes attached to his manhood. Police believe he died as a result of a power surge. Quite the electric way to go out. Did he get to finish? With the surge it's possible. I heard a story of a man who drove off the freeway and flipped his car and was partially ejected out of the moonroof and was crushed to death as the car rolled on top of him. Thing is, the emergency responders found he had a portable DVD player still playing porn and his pants were down around his ankles. It's a stupid thing to do, but that clarity only comes post-butt. Erotic asphyxiation. R.I.P. David Carradine. Expected this to be the top comment. Pleasantly surprised to find Redditors coming through with even weirder shit. The famous inventor Thomas Medgley was bedridden, so he tried to invent a bed with pullers and levers to make it an adjustable bed. Instead he got caught in one of the ropes and strangled to death. Actually, a lot of people likely died from Medgley's work. He invented many CFCs and leaded gasoline, the road to hell, suicide, manslaughter, and global ecological devastation is paved with good intentions. Yep. Then on the flip side you have Franz Haber, who created the Haber process to bring bomb making to an industrialized scale during WW1. His technology has been used to feed billions of people now and has alleviated hunger all over the world. The dude who wanted to prove Earth is flat built a rocket, launches, killed himself because his calculations, and probably the whole machinery, were wrong. Regardless of how bad the design was, or how stupid his reasons, dude still died in a homemade rocket ship, which is cooler than anything most of us will ever do. Even better, he was clearly a thrill seeker looking to find his interest by exploiting dumb flat earthers. He has my respect. Well, Elvis will be forever remembered for dying on the toilet. The thing about dying on a toilet is that you tend to roll forward and end up with your ass in the air. Everyone imagines Elvis perched on the throne while in reality he probably fell off it and ended bare ass up with a turd hanging out. That image is not going to leave my mind for the rest of the week. Choking to death on a dick. It really happened. Google it. Googling choking on a dick didn't find what I wanted, but I'm okay with the result. Maybe, dead girl choked on dick. Nope. Different results as well. But I'm liking it. It would have been quite embarrassing for all of us, from the perspective of other more advanced species in the future, if that Russian guy wouldn't have been skeptical of those signals. Not the only time it happened. 3rd degree burns from lighting a fart. Turd debris burns. FDFY. Stabbed in the ass by a person hiding in a medieval toilet seems Pretty bad. Putting the ass in assassin. Either from a COVID party or a Tide Pod. Herman Cain has left the chat. Ruthless. Shooting yourself to death. In Ken's defense, he had just heard the loudest brown note in recorded history. Breaking your neck trying to suck your own dick. His mom found him. Balls resting on his lips. Apostrophe. He finally achieved it. I saw on 1000 Ways to Die, a girl got off by eating puke. So she made a guy puke into her mouth. Choked. And died. R/or feel everything. Of COVID-19 after claiming it was a hoax. That's not embarrassing. That's just sweet. Sweet karma. A number of years ago, a HS kid working for a local Dunkin' Donuts fell into an open manhole in the dark while taking the trash out back. He fell into a cesspool, passed out from the fumes, and was dead before they were able to figure out where he went and get him out. Working the late shift at a minimum wage job, and dying because the landlord didn't keep the property safe during maintenance, or whatever the duck was going on. Talk about a shitty way to die. That doesn't seem embarrassing, just tragic. Nah, it's embarrassing. Just for the landlord. There was a story I read somewhere of an office man showing a batch of new hires their building facilities. So they were up in a tall building. It was a fairly new building with glass windows. And this guy wanted to demonstrate how strong the glass windows were. Because he wanted to look like a cool office mate or some shit. To do this, he made a running approach towards the windows and slammed his body into the glass. It wasn't as strong as he thought, and as the glass shattered and fell apart, his body went through and fell right out of the ducking building and into his death. I can't even begin to imagine how to react if I were to bear witness to that. Is this separate from the guy trying to how strong their shatterproof windows were, only to knock the entire pane out and on impact, getting crushed by that same pane afterwards? You're talking Gary Hoy, the prominent Toronto lawyer who fell 24 stories from the TD Bank building to his death. He wasn't crushed by the pane. He would have landed on top of it. Bonus fact. Him falling out of that window caused the largest law firm failure in Canadian history in 1996. That held until 2007. People dying from exertion from jacking of 20 plus times in a row. I once did twice in one day and felt so bad. Imagine doing 20. Holy. A friend of mine once intentionally tried to see how many times he could do it in one day. He claims it was 14. Really, if you're dead you're not about to be embarrassed. Really, if someone close to you died by peeing on an electric fence, wouldn't you feel embarrassed for them? I would if the fence was powered off. Sometimes men will take Viagra for erectile dysfunction. What people don't know is Viagra when it first came out used to be used for treatment for high blood pressure and heart disease. Sometimes men with already low blood pressure that didn't know take Viagra and they pass out and die from plummeting their blood pressure. Remember that woman who died from drinking too much water to win concert tickets or something on a radio show? That is the most embarrassing. Doing something unfathomably stupid for extremely low stakes and in a very public manner. Hold your wee for a wee eye. I remember that. Being trapped in a porta potty that gets tipped over and lands door side down, then suffocating from the nasty toilet water fumes. Stephen King wrote a story about this. Cool. I just looked it up. It's called A Very Tight Place. I wonder if it will be made into a movie. Having your intestines sucked out by the pool drain. Flashbacks to Chuck Palahniuk's guts. I saw a video where a guy who fell down a freaking waterfall died because he slipped on an orange peel. Then again, he was old, but man, that must have been embarrassing as heck. Edit. He was 82 years old. That sounds like he fell over the waterfall because he slipped on an orange peel. Nah, he slipped and broke his back. But his body failed him. Dropping dead watching some weird porn and not being able to clear the screen. That would be the masturbating man from Pompeii. When I worked in Pompeii, we were given a safety briefing. When the question came up about volcanic eruption, we were given the following advice: go away in pairs and get into interesting positions for future archaeologists. Being caught by a buffalo while trying to take a picture because you are a dumbass who doesn't follow rules reminds of the ones mauled by lions. Oh, just big kitties lying around. There was this one guy that didn't know what gun to use in Russian roulette, so he used a Glock. Picking up margarita mix and getting run over by a line of shopping carts, or getting crushed by a falling account unit, or suffocate in a safe. Someone drowned in not only his own shit, but a whole town of people's shit. TL. Doctor, guy drowned in sewage water. Is this the guy who was taking garbage out at his job and fell through the manhole because the landlord didn't take care of the property? Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.